皆様ご起立ください。
Konnichiwa, Olympics fans and lovers of Shuklastan. Welcome to Keep the Flame Alive, the podcast for fans of the Olympics and Paralympics. I am your host, Jill Jarrett, joined as always by my lovely co-host, Allison Brown. Allison, konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. Might be having a bit of an adult beverage, but only in the privacy of my room.
That is very true. We are, athletes are facing more discipline here on day 10 of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. The new rules for COVID, the athletes who wanted to celebrate by drinking alcohol could have it in their rooms in the village, but they could not go out and party in the village public areas. And yet, some of them have. So there's an investigation under place. We will keep you posted. All right. Got a lot of action today because, boy, athletics is really just jumping right in with the big events. Follow-up file. So Connor Fields, our Shuklastani BMX racer, who had a horrible crash during his competition, suffered a brain hemorrhage at the venue. Luckily, there's been no additional bleeding on his brain and no new head injuries have been found. He's got some fluid on the brain, but it's not increased. So that was within the first 24 hours. So the doctors were feeling good about that, according to his father, who talked to USA Today. And he also suffered a broken rib and bruised lung in the crash. So it's going to be some painful healing. I've heard that broken ribs are tough.
Yeah, but that could have been so much worse. It's the brain injury we got to keep the eye on.
Exactly. So, Connor, we're still thinking of you. Simone Biles, the gymnast, has withdrawn from the floor exercise, and Great Britain's Jennifer Godorova will take her place. Okay, so I did go back and watch men's trampoline.
They were flying all over the place.
I've gotten only through the qualification rounds because they were flying. It was incredible. So we had one gymnast, and I'm sorry I don't have their names in front of me, but we had a gymnast from Colombia who, on his warm-up bounces, because they get like a minute to start the routine, and they sit there and they jump higher and higher until they feel comfortable enough to be in control of their bodies and start their routine. Well, on his warm-up, he kind of skipped backwards on the mat and on a jump landed on the edge of the trampoline and the pad and scraped up his heels a little bit. He still did his routine. Then the next one fell on the mats during his routine. The American went through the mat, so he was jumping and got close to the side and fell in between the trampoline mesh and the mat on the side, and his coach had been right there and had opted not to put in the safety pad because that would have stopped his momentum and his routine would have been over. So it's always a judgment call. Is he going to make it or not? And he did not make it. So that I'd never seen that before. And then next person right after him also had the same deal with he was getting dangerously close to the side. And his coach did put the mat in front of him, so he did not look happy that he got stopped. And then Gao, he was doing his routine. This is the Chinese champion who was heavily favored to win, was traveling forward and was getting close to the end of the mat or end of the trampoline, and then did a forward move that took him off the mat. And I don't know. I kind of wonder, like, are you when you're in the air, do you realize what's going to happen by where you land and how much can you correct that, especially, or can you even change your routine mid-routine? Like if I saw I was going to at the edge of the trampoline and I knew I had a forward move next that would take me off, could I change that into a backward move real quickly? I don't know.
Well, it's all muscle memory. So it's very hard to change the routine because you automatically go into the next move. You don't want to be thinking. So if you've ever had the situation where you're driving somewhere and you come to a turn where you always turn left, but that one day you're going to have to turn right, but somehow you still turn left.
Right.
Imagine that times 1,000.
Okay. So when they talk about Sunisa Lee being able to improvise on bars, that's just something so amazing that we
Yes.
don't really realize it just by how the announcers are saying it. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Still on the follow-up file. The two athletes we talked about yesterday who had gone sightseeing and violated the playbook and had their credentials stripped were silver medalists in judo from Georgia, Vasha Margvashvili and Lasha Shaftushvili. And Jordan Thompson, the American volleyball player we talked about yesterday, who injured her ankle in the game against ROC, is not seriously hurt, and she's going to be able to come back to play.
The Latvian basketball player must have come by with his tape. I'm not letting that go. I love that story so much.
It was just incredible. In other Olympics news, Italian rower Bruno Rossetti has been awarded a bronze medal by the IOC after he had been rowing in the heats, and he then tested positive for COVID and had to miss the finals. And the original plan was, well, you didn't race in the finals, you don't get a medal. But the IOC said, hey, no, we're going to allow you, because you would have competed if you hadn't tested positive, you can get the medal too. And then some other interesting news from the Belarusian delegation. Kristina Tsimanouskaya is an athletics athlete sprinter. She was due to compete in the women's 200 meters coming up this week. She was told that she was going to get put into another race at short notice because she was entered into the 400-meter relay event. Well, she was not happy about that. She complained on social media, and the Belarusian Olympic Committee said, pack your bags, you're going home. Yes.
Oops.
Then she protested and she pled her case to the IOC. The last update is she is at the airport, did not get on her flight home because now she fears for her safety, and is with the airport police. Drama.
Yeah, we haven't heard a whole lot of drama other than that original athlete who disappeared from the village and was attempting to defect, I guess.
Right.
But it's been quiet in a way, considering how much drama there would be. They're just drinking in the public areas. That's the drama we're getting. Sounds like college.
All right, our fantasy league update. How's our league doing? Sholastan still way ahead of everybody else with 590 points. Cole Libri is at 224. Patrick from Green Bay is at 197, and I am at 194. Really close. I finally figured out that you can select a points multiplier every day, and I only selected the points multiplier for like day one. So we went like 9 more days with no other.
I had Katie Ledecky as my points multiplier.
Oh, that was a pretty good choice.
I know, but now I still have her and I can't change her. Because I
Go
don't
to
know
the next day.
I keep trying, but I think I've used my swaps. It's okay if you don't know what you're doing. Join us. It's ridiculously fun.
Brackets, Sholastan is leading now 110, and you and I are tied at 100.
I do not know how that happened.
Probably picked well in rugby.
I did have Fiji in both the men's and the women's pools.
You can still join in on all the fun in Fantasy League and Fantasy Brackets. Go to flamealivepod.com/Tokyo for the details. Now it's time for our segment, What's Up with Mike and Maya? Mike and Maya of the Toyota First Date ad, where Mike asks Maya out to the school dance while he is in the hospital, and he can do so with the help of Toyota's magic robot screen that rolls through the hallways. You want to talk about Maya's friends today?
Well, you were very concerned about Maya's friend in the purple satin 1980s roller derby jacket.
She, and I haven't figured out her name yet, but she's the one that's got the look, because it kind of pans back. Mike, when they're panning back from Mike to Maya, she is the one that's got the look of most concern on her face. And I'm wondering if she is a mean girl or if she is a Heather, and she is kind of the ringleader of their little group. And she knows Maya is way out of Mike's league and is very concerned about this development.
That
maybe it will reflect badly on her. I'm not sure, but she just does not look happy about this development.
Well, you know what reflects is that purple jacket she's wearing.
So if you have theories about Mike and Maya, let us know at flamealivepod@gmail.com. So where in Tokyo is Marnie McBean today?
So far, I have found her at swimming, track and field. They were moving Ocha, the Canadian moose, from the flag area to the back door of the Canadian Tower, and she made it out to sailing.
That's good. Was her drum audible or did she not say?
I don't know if her drum was audible because she was on one of the viewing boats.
Oh, very cool.
So I don't know if the wind drowned out the drum.
All right, before we get to today's action, we'd like to tell you a little bit about our Kickstarter campaign. We have gotten media accreditations for the Winter Olympics in Beijing. This came at a complete surprise to us. So we have less than 200 days to figure out how to get there. We are really excited for the opportunity to bring you a podcast experience that's going to be more unique and more special because we'll have on the ground coverage and be able to tell you things that are happening behind the scenes and what's really going on there that you can't see while watching TV. But we need your help to get there. So please check out our Kickstarter postcards. We'll send postcards from Beijing. You can become a producer for a day. Your pet can be our mascot, which you have to jump on those because they're going pretty quick. And much, much more. So check that out. Again, that's kickstarter.com/profile/flamealivepod. Big day on artistic gymnastics. Now we're on to the individual apparatuses. We had men's floor exercise and men's pommel horse, and then women's vault and women's uneven bars. I only dipped into a little bit of this, but I think you watched all of it.
I did watch all of it.
How was it?
Again, it was an event you didn't win, you survived.
That's disappointing.
A lot of shaky performances, not many stuck landings. It was disappointing.
Well, I know on the men's floor exercise, I did see the gold medalist perform, and he was out of bounds. He stepped out of bounds. So
Underwhelming. So the gold and silver had to go to the second tiebreaker.
really?
They got the same overall score. Then you go to the execution score, which was the same. And then they had to go to the difficulty.
Oh, and that broke the tie?
That broke the tie.
That's interesting. So the gold went to Arlem Dolagapiat from Israel. Silver went to Roderle Sabata from Spain. And Zhao Rutang from China won bronze. Moving on to women's vault. And this I saw more of. So Michaela Skinner was the replacement for Simone Biles. And if you're from the US and you like gymnastics, you may know that Michaela was an alternate for Rio, which was pretty crushing for her. And she made the choice to stay in gymnastics for 4 years. And then she was competing in college and then took a year off of college to train for Tokyo. Then the pandemic happened. During that year, she got pneumonia and COVID. So it was a lot of comeback for her, and for her to make the team as she did was impressive and just like a dream realized. But then now she got put into the vault when Simone Biles withdrew. So this is like a huge deal for her.
So what was interesting was after preliminaries, because she was not on the USA team for that event, she was an individual. So she did not make any finals after qualifying. So after qualifying, she announced her retirement.
Oh,
Said
wow.
she wasn't going back to compete collegiately, even though she still has a year of eligibility, and said, I'm done. And then 2 days later, she unretired again to compete in this. So it has been an emotional roller coaster for Michaela Skinner.
Wow. And she walked away with a silver medal because of it.
Absolutely. Again, a lot. When you watch these vaults, you are not going to feel like you're watching the vault finals.
No. Jade Carey, who is also from the US. So I saw her first vault and she kind of stutter stepped in the run, which made her do the round off in a weird place. And then her one hand she was a little to the side of the vault and her one hand almost went off the vault as she springboarded off of it.
So she missed her steps and actually did not complete the vault that she was supposed to complete. She was supposed to complete an Aminar, but she took out the twist because she had messed up the setup so poorly.
Wow.
Yeah, so her first score was in the 11s.
Which is frustrating, but I'm just glad she's safe, because that when I saw the replay, I saw how dangerous that could have been. So the 3 medalists for vault were Brazil's Rebecca Andrade, silver went to Michaela Skinner, and then Korea's Yao Sojung won the bronze, which seems like a surprise. Was she as strong in that category?
She is, but it was a surprise.
Okay. Then in men's pommel horse, what did you think of that competition?
This was the best competition.
Really?
Yes, this was. So Max Whitlock again won the gold medal, and it is beautiful. Silver medal went to Li Chikai from Chinese Taipei. Also a beautiful routine. The only difference was Max's was slightly more difficult, but the silver medalist actually had a higher execution score.
Interesting.
So it's 2 beautiful programs to watch.
And then Japan's Kaya Kazuma took the bronze on that. And then uneven bars, this is tough for the United States because Sunisa Lee is arguably the best or one of the best uneven bars gymnasts, and she had a very tough routine.
She did. So she had taken out a couple of connections to go for a higher execution score, though, or lower difficulty.
Oh.
And she missed some connections. So she lost even more difficulty and some execution. But thankfully, everybody had a much worse day. Well, not everybody, but almost everybody had a much worse day.
That's really sad.
Even the gold medalist was not clean.
Oh. I did see Suni's routine, and it looked like stuff was missing. That's all I could say.
Yes. Yes.
Like, I'm missing some stuff here, and she just didn't. But yet she still got the bronze.
She was laughing after her routine, like, "Oh, that was not great."
Yeah, but
And as she kept staying in 3rd place, she just kept looking at everyone like, "Really? How is this happening?"
that does not bode well for competition. So the other 2 medalists for women's uneven bars were Belgium's Nina Derwal, and then ROC's Anastasia Ilyakhanova won the silver. Moving on to athletics, where it was another incredible day and night. Holy cow. I have to go back and watch some of this because there's so much going on with athletics that I can't focus. And they do have like 3 different feeds going on just for this one event. So it makes it kind of tough to move around. But early on was the women's hammer throw qualifying round. So I did watch this extensively. And Shukflastani Deanna Price did qualify through to the finals. Not great night for her. She did not meet the qualifying standard, because the deal is they have a qualifying standard distance. If you meet that, you don't have to keep throwing. And she didn't get it. Her best throw was 72.55 meters. She scratched on a throw. And I was really worried for a long time, but a lot of people scratched. Most people didn't throw very well at all. So I wonder if the weather conditions are part of it or what's going on, because I think only 2 people in her section got the qualifying standard. So, but she is part of the final 12. She will compete again. So still rooting for you, Deanna. We had women's shot put. The finals happened for that. Did you see? I saw.
I did. I watched this.
Okay.
This was a fun competition.
Okay, so did you watch the OBS feed or did you watch NBC? Was this on NBC already?
I don't know.
Because
I think I was watching the feed.
Okay, because I saw highlights and Michelle Carter was on the highlights, and I'm like, oh, Michelle, that's right. Michelle Carter's an analyst for this. I want to watch it, but I don't think this has been aired on NBC yet. So you must have watched the OBS feed. So
gliding is much prettier than spinning. Michelle is right.
I agree. And it was interesting because China's Gong Lijiao won the gold, like commandingly, and she is a glider. Then Raven Saunders from the USA, who wore a Hulk mask while she competed, and I guess in the early
and had purple and green hair.
Yeah, oh man, the hair is choice. And I I guess in the early round, she wore a Joker mask while she competed. So she threw a massive last throw, and it looked like she might be able to win it on that throw, but she fouled. And so,
The spinners were fouling left and right.
mhm.
They were going out of the circle.
But she did end up with silver, and then bronze went to New Zealand's Valerie Adams, which I'm really thrilled about for her because this is what, her 4th Olympics?
I believe it's her 5th, but she's medaled 4 times.
You're right. Yeah, this is her 5th Olympics. She's been competing since 2004, and she's a 2-time gold medal winner, silver, and now has added the bronze.
The best moment was at the end after she had secured the bronze, and they gave her the New Zealand flag. She held up a picture of her kids
Aw,
to the camera.
that's really sweet.
She's a beautiful thrower, man.
Mm.
Oh, just gorgeous to watch.
So that is a must-see competition, I believe. Also a must-see. Actually, everything on this ticket was a must-see night. It was really incredible. So let's move on to men's high jump, where the bar kept getting higher and higher. The athletes remaining were starting to go for Olympic records, but I don't think they could get them. No. But they could not get them. It was down to Mutaz Essabarshim from Qatar and Gianmarco Tamberi from Italy and Maxim Nadeskau from Belarus. And the Belarusian was out first, and then it was down to the final, the Qatari and the Italian, and they decided, we don't want to do a jump off. We will share the gold medal, which I thought was beautiful.
It was a beautiful moment that the official comes over and asks them. They both missed on their last jumps. So then it became, okay, now you're tied. Should we do a jump off? And they both just immediately said no.
That was, and
when
then
they were given the option.
And then hugging and jumping all over each other because they were so thrilled. I bet they are going to be in the running for that Pierre de Coubertin Award. Is that what?
Oh, yeah.
That spirit of friendship and solidarity kind of award. I bet they're in the running for that now because that was beautiful. In the women's triple jump, oh, man. Venezuela's Yulimar Rojas got the gold with a world record jump, like smashed this world record. It was a beautiful, beautiful jump. She was so excited. Portugal's Patricia Mamona got silver, and Spain's Ana Pelotero got bronze. So that is a competition to go back and watch. And then the men's 100-meter finals.
This was a little rough.
False starts in the semis, false starts in the final, and then the results were so surprising and so kind of thrilling because this is the first time in many Olympics that Usain Bolt has not been there. So now it's a changing of the guard, and that the new champion is Italy's Lamont Marcel Jacobs. USA's Fred Curley took silver, and Canada's Andre de Grasse took bronze.
And we were talking about how so many things are happening at the same time. So Tambieri from high jump comes running over to Jacobs in the 100 because he still got the flag wrapped around him. He had just finished and done, a few minutes of celebrating. And then this happened. So the two Italians are literally embracing and jumping up and down on the track.
That was really beautiful. Moving over to badminton, we had men's singles had the semifinals, women's singles had their finals. Gold went to China's Chen Yufei, silver went to Chinese Taipei's Tai Tzu Ying, and bronze went to India's V. Sindhu Pasarla, which is exciting for India. So glad.
Love when India gets a medal.
Exactly. In the baseball competition, we are in the knockout stage. So Israel beat Mexico 12-5, and Korea beat Dominican Republic. Israel and Korea will face off, and USA and Japan will be the other pair for the semis. In beach volleyball, it was the women's round of 16, which included Arshak Flastani, Kelly Claes, and her partner Sarah Sponsel, who faced off Bansley and Wilkerson from Canada. They won the first set 23-21, but then lost the second to 21-17 and 15-13. That was a heartbreaker because I was in and out of the room where it was on TV, And it was exciting when they won the first set, and then I came back and they had a commanding lead in the second. And Wilkerson and Bensley just made a comeback, and then it was neck and neck back. It was all back and forth within 2 points all the time. And then in the third set, they were near the end of the match, and Clayson Sponsel challenged a call on the line, whether it was in or out. The referee agreed with them, overturned the call, which would have given Clayson Sponsel the point, but then Canada challenged that call.
They challenged the challenge.
Yes. And even the announcer was like, I've never seen this before. But then the announcer also said, it's so quiet in here, you could hear a pin drop. And there's nobody there. Come on, buddy. So the challenge of the challenge won, which did not make sense to me.
Absolutely. And then Sponsel and Clay started arguing with the referee that you can't challenge a challenge. And then they got yellow carded.
Mm-hmm.
So that killed their momentum. They were totally distracted.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the end of the match.
Yeah, that was a real shame. So they are out of the tournament, but A, did a great job. B, they're young, so they'll hopefully be back in future Olympics. Elsewhere, Brazil's Ana Patricia and Rebecca defeated China's Wang and Jia, and Latvia's Gardina and Krasnoka defeated ROC's Marko Guzova and Kolomina. Germany's Ludwig Kosic defeated this is an upset.
Yeah.
Germany's Ludwig Kosic defeated Brazil's Agatha Duda 2-1. Holy cow, that is huge, because Brazil, they are near the top.
Yes, I think they are the top ranked team.
Wow. Wow, that is huge. Switzerland's Verge Dupree and Heydrich beat Switzerland's Ural Beschart, and Australia's Archato de Solar and Clancy defeated, I believe this is another Chinese team, Zhui and Wang. And then there were a couple of men's round of 16 games. Qatar Sharif and Ahmed defeated USA's Lucina and Dahlhauser, and Norway's Mal and Sorum defeated Netherlands Brouwer and Meusen.
Both upsets.
Wow, that's big.
Lots of upsets on the sand.
We're starting to get some medals in boxing, and that tournament is structured again where you have 2 bronze medals, but the bronze matches and the gold-silver match are different days. So we have bronzes for the men's welterweight. They go to Great Britain's Pat McCormick, who defeated Ireland's Aidan Walsh by a walkover. And then Raniel Iglesias from Cuba defeated Andre Zamkovoy on a unanimous decision. And in the men's light heavyweight, bronzes go to Great Britain's Benjamin Whitaker, who defeated ROC's Kachef Imam on points, and Cuba's Arlen Lopez defeated Alfonso Domingo Laura Berto from Azerbaijan on points. New event for Tokyo, BMX freestyle cycling. So this was a 2-day competition, and I tried it a little bit, and I ran out of time today. I just ran out of time to watch stuff. So I watched a little bit of the women's finals, and I watched a little bit of the women's qualifying. And the commentator on the feed, we had a British commentator and an American commentator. And the American didn't even try to say some last names. It was like Elizabetta. That made me laugh. But again, just like skateboarding, they didn't explain what was going on. And I could tell things were cool. And I think it's easier to see cool stuff in BMX freestyle because the bike is bigger and you see a wheel spinning around. And I understand that a skateboard can flip and things, but it was just bigger on, it's like the large print version of a book.
I agree with everything you've said so far.
But I just didn't understand how stuff was scored and what was a good trick and what was not a good trick, and what are you stacking? How are you building your routines? And it was interesting because at the same time I was watching the gymnastics feed, and Bridget Sloan just right then would tell you what a vault was. Oh, she's doing an almoner that's 2.5 turns, 2 flips and a twist or whatever an almoner is, but explained it in the same sentence what the trick was and why it was important. And you just did not get that with these newer park sports. So I'm trying.
It's almost like they just assume we're going to think it's cool to look at, so we don't need to understand. There's, again, what we talked about before about NBC's laziness,
Mhm.
just not giving us what we need to really enjoy these sports.
Well, but
Looking cool is not enough.
no, but this is the Olympic Broadcasting Service's laziness at play, because I was watching the feed. They're going to do this if they don't fix it now. They're going to do it again for break-in.
Oh, absolutely.
I might go back to watch this a little bit more to see what I think, or maybe I'll just go back to try skateboarding in the park. But it looked pretty cool. I will say that. It looked difficult and dangerous as all get out as I get older. But, doing flips on your bike over a ramp, that's kind of cool. Gold went to Charlotte Worthington from Great Britain. Hannah Roberts went from the USA, got silver, and she said she was nursing an ankle injury prior to competition, which has got to be hard when you're pressing down on pedals and stuff. And then Switzerland's Nikita Dukaros won bronze. On the men's side, Martin Logan from Australia won gold. Daniel Dares from Venezuela won silver. And Declan Brooks from Great Britain won bronze. Diving, I did catch the final round of diving action. This was women's 3-meter springboard. And as expected, China went 1-2. They have a phenomenal diving program in China. And
for so
yes.
long, they've had a phenomenal diving
Yes.
program.
And the gold medalist was Shi Tingmao. Her final dive was just amazing. How she could do so many flips and spins and go in the water with almost no splash. It was beautiful. She took gold. Wang Han took silver, and then bronze went to USA's Krista Palmer. And this is the first time the US has medaled in this event since 1988. And then Canada's Jennifer Abel, who she medaled earlier in the competition, and so she's really strong on this event. I saw one of her dives on round 3. She just over-rotated and went in a little too far. Her splash was too big, and that was even if with 2 dives left and you look at the competition that's all stacked up, she just did not have enough time to come back. And then you hope that the people at the top make mistakes, but you're not going to get very many mistakes from the Chinese divers. Over in equestrian, our Shukflastani Philip Dutton competed in the eventing cross-country competition. This was tough to watch. Like, I'm no stranger to watching eventing, but it was very difficult to tell the riders apart, and even with their numbers on, because they'll have 3 or so riders on the course at any given time because it's so long. They can, and it cuts down on how long the competition needs to be. So that's fine. But they'll have cameras stationed at certain parts of the course. So I think they went and did too many switches between riders, because I didn't know. I tuned in a little late, so I didn't know what the course looked like. And then I never knew who was riding at what given time, because we'd switch back and forth between 3 to 4 riders who were all competing almost simultaneously. And one rider fell off his horse over a jump because the horse stumbled. And I thought that was Philip. And the announcer thought it was Philip. And then I got corrected later on. But that was really scary, because I thought, oh no, Philip. But then he got back on the horse.
So that rider was the rider ahead of Philip on the course. So Philip was on the course at the time. And he posted an Instagram how he then is held on the course. They stop him mid-run.
Which makes sense, because you have to make sure the prior rider is fine.
Well, more importantly, he was laying on the course.
Well,
So Z would have just come along and galloped right over him. So you could have had some additional issues.
right. And his own horse kind of hoofed him anyway.
Right. So Philip was not complaining, but saying how you stop mid-course. that throws off your momentum. So he was disappointed in his cross country run because it was difficult circumstances. But he said Z handled it like a pro.
Oh, good for him. Oh, exactly. So he is in Philippines in 17th place so far in the individual event, and Team USA stands in 5th.
I have a new favorite horse.
That would be?
It's Viscera, who is with Teresa Vikland, I believe of the Netherlands. And the horse lost her eye 3 years ago to uveitis, but is still elite level competitor.
Wow. That's incredible. But yeah, I wish they could figure out a better way to shoot this event to make it more to not have it be like, oh, we're dropping it. You've never seen this event. And like it's kind of like, yeah, we know you watch this once every 4 years, so we'll just show you parts. But I don't know how they make it better because I bet they can't use drones because the noise would probably not be good for the horses. And I'm not sure how much they do with helicopters either, because again, with the noise. So I don't know. I wish it was better.
This would probably be one of those few sports that would benefit from NBC's focus on only certain athletes. So they always air Team USA and they air like the top 5 or 6. So you're going to miss seeing a bunch of athletes, but you're going to follow single people through the entire course.
Something to think about. Moving over to fencing, it was the men's foil team competition. France took the gold, ROC took silver, and USA took the bronze.
I watched some of this.
Did you? What did you
think? I watched some of the US competition against Germany.
Okay.
And those foils are wild. Is that the latest?
Yes, I believe so.
Because they were flicking and they were poking each other and they were flying all over the place. But what I loved the best was through the body language, you could see what the fencer was thinking, even though you couldn't see their face.
Mm.
And I did not expect that because I haven't watched a lot of fencing. And I don't know if that's just foil because it is the most animated because it's the lightest weapon.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, they're all very different. In golf, the men finished up their individual stroke play. Gold went to Xander Schauffele from the USA, whose mom grew up in Japan. And Roy Sabatini from Slovakia won silver, and Pan CT from Taipei won the bronze. There was a 7-way playoff for bronze, which is kind of mind-blowing. In handball, we're still finishing up group play, but we had the quarterfinals matchups for the men. It is going to be France versus Bahrain, Sweden versus Spain, Denmark versus Norway, and Germany versus Egypt. In hockey, we had the men's quarterfinals. Germany beat Argentina 3-1. Australia beat Netherlands. They were tied 2-2, but Australia won 3-0 in a point shootout. Belgium beat Spain 3-1, and India beat Great Britain 3-1. Oh my gosh, I did see this game.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so relieved.
Had this on, and I didn't have the sound on for this, so there was some guesswork. But the pitch looked like it was sopping wet because when they were showing replays, you could see water just spray up when their hockey sticks or scraped the turf, and then. Just India had just really beautiful steals. They had some really nice passing that set up some goals. It was beautiful. So they are moving on to the semifinals. They will face Belgium, and Australia will face Germany. In the women's tournament, the quarterfinal matchups will be Germany versus Argentina, Australia versus India, Netherlands versus New Zealand, and Spain versus Great Britain. In sailing, 2 of the boats had medal races. So on the laser men's, gold went to Australia's Matt Wern, which we knew was not going to be a surprise. Croatia's Tonči Stepanovic won silver, and Herman Tomasgaard from Norway won the bronze. In the laser radial women's event, Denmark's Anne-Marie Rindam won gold. Josephine Olsen from Sweden won silver, and Marit Baumeister won the bronze.
Yes, but is Josephine a Swedish Viking?
I would assume so.
She can helm a boat.
There you go. That's what they need. Swimming. Okay, so now the swimming competition is over for the Olympics, which is kind of bittersweet.
It's always the sad day of the last session. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, this is my favorite part.
So you watched. I dipped in and out, but you watched most of it.
I did watch most of it. And I want to mention, because we talk about Rowdy Gaines a lot, and he gets so excited, but he did say two really funny things last night that I wrote down. So in the 50 finals, he said about one of the swimmers, he just breaks their heart in the first 15. He's so good at the start, meaning Caleb Dressel. And then in another one of the races, he said, okay, take a breath. Now hold it. And then like 2 lengths of the pool later, he said, okay, you can let that breath out now. And I'm
Wow.
thinking we'd all be dead, Rowdy.
Wow. But did you notice that most of the 50-meter freestyle swimmers do not take a breath for the entire
You
race?
cannot win if you take a breath.
It was really interesting, and they had a little shot of the warm-up pool, and somebody was warming up with, like, a snorkel, and just to, like, keep their head in the water, but still and get that, feel, I assume, but not turn their head to breathe. It was amazing. So in the men's 50-meter free, Caleb Dressel from the U.S. did win gold. France's Florent Manadou won silver, and Bruno Fratus from Brazil won the bronze, and he was thrilled. Then we had the women's 4x100 meter medley relay. How was that?
That was interesting
How so?
in that it went back and forth depending on the stroke, and it was hard to gauge where people were. It was a great race, but tough to watch.
So for that one, Australia won the gold, silver went to US, and Canada won the bronze. And I believe that bronze medal puts Penny Alexiak as the all-time medal winner for Canada, which is very impressive. Although, we have talked about before how it's impressive to a point because she's in a sport that has many, many medal opportunities versus somebody like who plays hockey and can only win one medal.
But to be fair, she still beat out all the other swimmers.
Yes, that is very true, and that's tough to do again and again during one competition. Then we went over to the women's 50-meter freestyle. How was this one?
Fast. I mean, they call it the splash and dash for a reason. It just out of nowhere. I was so pleased to see that Sarah Sostrom, who's the world record holder in this, came up with a medal. She has had a very disappointing Olympics.
She has, and it's. I wonder what she think. I mean, I bet she's disappointed, but I wonder how it was for her having the year off, the extra year when it came down to it.
Well, she broke her elbow.
Oh.
This past winter. Yeah, she slipped on the ice because it is Sweden. Broke her elbow. So the fact that she was even here.
That's huge.
Was a big deal.
Wow. So in this race, Australia's Emma McCune won gold, Sarah Sostrom won silver, and Pernilla Bloom from Denmark won bronze. Moving on to the men's 4x100 medley relay. How was this one?
This was exciting because you didn't know if Great Britain, they have Adam Peaty, who was going to be amazing. And the US, I don't think has ever lost this race in the history of this race. So they have that burden. And it was back and forth and back and forth. And then at the end, the US just pulled out and there was no doubt.
Wow.
Before they aired it, you got several minutes of the guys waiting backstage to come out. So they had the girl with the clipboard.
Okay.
And they're bouncing up and down and bouncing up and down. So I think it was Zach Apple all of a sudden breaks out his phone and starts texting. And he was texting Rowdy Gaines.
Oh my
God. Then Rowdy Gaines says, I just got a text talking about their preparation.
That's pretty good. For that race, US won the gold, Great Britain won silver, and Italy took the bronze. Then it was the men's 1500 meter freestyle, which, how is that?
Long.
That is a long race.
But Bobby Fink won this so decisively.
Very nice.
It was a fun race to watch the last 4 laps of.
Okay. Then Mikhailo Romanchuk from Ukraine won silver, and Florian Velbrock from Germany won bronze. And that's it for the swimming. It was great gains for Emma McEwen of Australia. She took home 7 medals. That ties her for the record for number of medals won at a single games by any female Olympian. That record had been set at Helsinki 1952 by gymnast Maria Gorokhovskaya of the Soviet Union, and she's also the first female swimmer to win 7 medals in a single games. So she joins Michael Phelps, Mark Smits, and Matt Biondi as the only swimmers with 7 or more medals from a single games. But
And the only non-American in that group. Nice. Australia's going to love that.
Exactly. They had great games. It's always great to see Australia swimming well. That's always makes me happy because seeing so many countries be strong, like Great Britain really has been strong at these games in the pool, and that makes me happy too. And Canada's had a great showing. That shows that their program from Rio has continued on and gotten stronger. So that's really good.
And a lot more first-time countries we saw in the medal stands in this swim meet,
which we love.
We love.
Moving on to table tennis, our Shoklastani Millie Topper actually competed in the women's team round of 16, and she and her partner Michelle Bromley lost to Germany's Patricia Solja and Gianna Shan. They didn't win a set in that game, and it wasn't very close either on points, but they made it to the round of 16, so congratulations to them. We will see Millie again in the Paralympic Games. In tennis, okay, so this is when I turned on the TV for the evening. I turned it on and tennis was on, and I'm like, oh, I'll see what's going on with tennis. And I think this is what messed up my clock a little bit because they were showing the women's singles event, and when I went to put the results in our show sheet, we talked about them yesterday. I was like, oh, I just wasted some time, I guess. But actually, it was kind of interesting to see what was going on because I did not know that they swapped out balls quite regularly during the game, and they had a little graphic that said new balls.
Yes.
And I guess they get very heavy as the game goes on.
Yes. You never knew that?
No. And I
guess you haven't watched much tennis.
No, but well, I don't watch enough tennis anymore. Or they have never mentioned that detail. I mean, maybe the new balls just happened and nobody thought to tell us that we were getting new balls, but they did think to tell us at the Olympics. So Bencic was playing Czech Republic's Markéta Vondrousová, and near the end, there was a medical stoppage, and Bencic wanted her toe fixed. It was like she had a blister or something on her toe, so the medical was there. Also noticed that there's a medical timeout, so I think they had maybe 5 minutes for this. And the feed announcer was not happy because it was before Vondrousova's serve, and the feed announcer said that was not good form for Bencic. If she needed medical attention, she should have done it before her own serve, and that this could have been not a ploy, but it was a way to throw off Vondrousova on her game. And then she said, "Well, I hope Vondrousova wins the next game."
They should have just sent the Latvian basketball player out with his roll of tape, taped up her whole foot, taped the shoe together, get back out there.
Sadly, Vondrousova did lose that game, and she ended up losing the match too. Who knows if that had an effect on it, but we had the men's singles gold medal match, and gold went to Germany's Alexander Zverev. He beat Karen Khachanov from ROC, and Pablo Carreno Busta from Spain won the bronze on that. It was also the women's doubles and the mixed doubles gold medal matches, and Bencic was going for the double sweep, as we said. However, she and her partner, Victoria Golubic, won silver, which denied Bencic the double gold, and the gold went to Czechs Barbara Krejcikova and Katerina Siniakova, and bronze went to Brazil's Laura Pigossi and Luisa Stefani. On the mixed doubles, gold went to ROC's Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova and Andrei Rublev. Silver went to ROC's Elena Vesnina and Aslan Karatsev. and bronze went to Australia's Ashley Barty and John Pierce. In water polo, we have the quarterfinals set for the women's side. That will be Canada versus USA, Spain versus China, Netherlands versus Hungary, and Australia versus ROC. Weightlifting in the women's 76 kilograms event, gold went to Ecuador's Nessie Patricia Dahomas Barrera. Silver went to the US's Catherine Nye, and RMA Fuentes Zavala from Mexico won the bronze. I'm kind of in the middle of watching this. We turned it on so I could see, but we realized really quickly that we were spending a lot of time watching Group A and we needed to watch Group B. So I got to go back and watch that. The wrestling tournament has started. So, this is probably one of the very few good things about having no fans in the stands is that you can hear the dulcet tones of Jason Bryant, the in-house announcer, a little bit better. So we had round of 8 quarterfinals and semifinals action. The men's Greco-Roman 60 kilogram semifinals happened. The finals will be Japan's Fumita Kenichiro versus Cuba's Luis Alberto Orta Sanchez. And in the 130 kilogram finals, they will be Mian Lopez Nunez from Cuba and Georgia's Jacobi Kajaya. In the women's freestyle 76 kilograms, the finals will be between Adeline Gray from the US and Aline Rotterfachen from Germany. Oh my gosh. Okay, so all of these finals, you have to put this on your schedule to watch because they are all going to be unbelievable. The semifinals, you should kind of go back, and I really suggest you go back and watch because there is nothing like watching a 130 kilogram man lift up another 130 kilogram man. I tell you, wow. The matches were tight. You can see the frustration on different wrestlers' faces as they're trying to get out of pins. Adeline Gray came out and really, her match was close, and kind of what decided it was that her challenger's coach pressed the challenge buzzer, and they lost. So Adeline got a point, and she won her match 3-2.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was really tight. And at the very end, her opponent got her ankles and was almost going to flip her. And how Adeline stayed on and played smart defense was just incredible to see. So this is very exciting because Adeline had gotten out, I think, in the quarterfinals in Rio and stayed in for this quad to have another go at it. So her finals match is going to be intense. Really, really exciting. Remember in Rio how when they had challenges, they threw out Vinicius?
Oh, yes.
So,
They don't throw out Miratoya, do they?
no, they have a buzzer this time, and that's for
good.
that's for COVID.
Oh, they don't want anyone touching anything.
Right.
Is it a big giant button that you come and you have to like smack with both hands?
No.
Oh, too
But
bad.
it is a buzzer. I think it's on a little pyramid and it says challenge.
That's disappointing. They missed a
Oh.
chance there.
Yeah, exactly. So we'd like to send a quick special thank you to our Patreon patrons whose ongoing donations provide a lot of financial support that we really need to keep the show going. Your financial support means the world to us patrons, and be on the lookout for your August patron-only show if you are subscribed at those levels. If you want to become a patron, find out more at patreon.com/flamealivepod. TKFLASTAN Watch.
TKFLASTAN Watch. So we've got the beginning of the artistic swimming competition. So Jacqueline Simoneau and her partner Claudia Holzner will be competing in the preliminaries of the duet free routine. And Philip Dutton will be finishing up his individual and team eventing with the jumping portion.
I'm so excited to watch Jacqueline compete.
Oh, she is so excited. She and Claudia have been posting like mad once they arrived in Japan.
Oh,
So they are pumped and ready to go.
excellent. So it is time for us to say sayonara. As always, you can email us at flamealivepod@gmail.com or text or voicemail us at 352-6348. That's 208-FLAME-IT. Please don't forget our Kickstarter and help us reach our goal of bringing you on-the-ground coverage at Beijing. That is kickstarter.com/profile/flamealivepod. As we go out to music by Mercury Sunset. Thank you so much for listening, and until tomorrow, keep the flame alive.